It is 10 o'clock, and since it's 10 o'clock, this is Lancaster Woodturners Weekly Coffee Hour for Thursday, August the 4th. I see people still clicking in. Is David Sloan here yet? Yeah, I see
Yeah, I'm
David.
here. Hey, John.
Yeah. Uh, I want to show your pictures in a minute. As usual, this is a show and tell. We'd like you to use raise hand to get yourself to pop to the top of my screen, so I know that you want to show something. I'm hoping you all got some nice stuff to entertain us here today. Uh, I do have an emergency video just in case. Um, I'm also doing a two-screen experiment here. I've been using Zoom for 2.5 years now as a single screen operation, and there's advantages to that. But it's meant to be used as a two-screen operation, and there are advantages to that. And it makes differences, and I'm learning what they are. So you'll have to bear with me today, and we'll see how that goes. I'm also talking into the air, so you might hear my wife's physical class going on 20 feet away because my headset died, the batteries. Here's what they do. So let's see. Please raise hand if you want to show stuff. I see Toby has some stuff up, and so is Don, and I know that David Sloan has some pictures, and I've got a little video, and who else has got some things they'd like to show us today? Oh boy, we know it's summertime, don't we?
Oh.
uh, where is where is the guy? Mike Pease? Good. We haven't heard from Mike in a while. He's been getting shut out. Bowman, Garrett. All right, we got a full hour here. No problem. I'm going to start with David Sloan because I have his pictures up, and this is pretty interesting to everybody. David is going to demonstrate a great wheel lathe at the Hoppen Folk Festival in a couple of weeks, and well, he'll tell you all about it, and he'll pronounce it correctly as well. So first of all, I'm going to spotlight David. If I can, let's see, spotlight for everybody. There you go, David. And in a second, I'll show your video. Do you want to tell us, or do you want me to bring a video up right away, or photo up right away?
Well, I'll take a second and tell folks about the festival first, and then you can bring those up, John, if that's okay. And by the way, my internet connection is a little bit wonky, so if I freeze out, maybe we'll come back to it later. I'm not much of a spindle turner. I'm primarily a bowl turner, but once a year for the last, I don't know, 30 plus years, I have demonstrated a foot-powered treadle lathe at an event called the Goshen Hoppen Folk Festival, which is in Perkiomenville, Pennsylvania, and I think that's Montgomery County. And what this festival is it started in about 1984, 85 or something like that. It is a reconstruction, faithful, authentic reconstructions of the home, farm, and craft and trade skills of the Pennsylvania Germans that settled that region. It's called the Goshen Hoppen region, and I'll spell that out for you later. In the 1700s and the 1800s. So it's a non-commercial event, very unlike the Kutztown Folk Festival, where you can buy just about everything. The only thing you can buy here primarily is food. So they've separated the event into two camps. One is 1700 skills and one is 1800 skills. So I am sort of in the middle here. John, maybe you can show a picture of the lathe and I'll start talking about this. Okay, this is the lathe that I demonstrate on. This thing was found in a barn in New Jersey in the 1970s somehow. It's mostly original, but we've been replacing bits and pieces as time goes on. It's about 90 inches long overall from one end to the other, which is 2.2 meters in case our friend from Germany is still here. And it's between centers, you can get up to about 70 inches. The tailstock moves all the way to the far right side. So you can get a really long thing for like a porch post or a bed post. The thing is very unusual in that it has the wheel above the operator's left shoulder. Most treadle lathes have the flywheel down underneath the headstock. And my theory is, and this is only a theory, that this lathe, which probably dates from the first half of the 19th century, is a hybrid that somebody that apparently it had been run on a line shaft at some point in an industrial situation, but that somebody got the idea that if they put the great wheel lathe, the wheel from a great wheel lathe on the machine, that they could do it by themselves. So I think I've never seen another one that has the flywheel over the operator's shoulder like that. So that's the overall. As you can see, on the far right side, the ways are held in place with tenons on both end and go through mortises in the upright. We don't know what wood is made out of. It's probably chestnut. It could be some type of oak, but it's pretty dense and pretty heavy. So you want to go to the next photo, John?
Okay. David, is that a pitman arm on that wheel so that it rotates in one direction only?
No, you can rotate it. You can spin it one way or the other way, but you basically have to take your hand when you run this thing and give the wheel a spin over your shoulder in the correct direction, because otherwise it'll go backwards.
No, what I mean, it doesn't reciprocate as you work, though.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the pitman arm reciprocates as you work. So basically, the foot treadle goes up and down, and that pitman arm, which is not easily seen, connects to the wheel. I'm trying to point at it, but nobody can see what I'm doing. Yeah. Maybe the next shot will show it better. Yeah, that's a little bit better. That shows the pitman arm on the end of the foot treadle thing.
What I mean is, while you treadle up and down, the wheel goes round in one direction.
Correct.
It doesn't go back forth, like when you have the string wrapped around.
Oh, it's not reciprocating. No, it's a continuous rotary motion. And I think that's the main innovation. That's the main difference between this lathe and the pole lathes, which you've probably seen people work at too. That's back and forth, where they attach the workpiece to a springy pole or a sapling, wrap a rope around the workpiece. In that case, when you push down on the foot pedal, the work turns towards you and you cut. And when you lift your foot pedal, the work goes backwards the other direction. This is a continuous rotary action. So the like wheel itself is made out of wood, segmented like a wagon wheel. Any questions about the lathe from this perspective? Maybe I can answer some. No questions. Okay.
It looks just like a spinning wheel. If you look at my virtual background, I've got a great wheel in my living room there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the principle's the same. It's got a leather belt here. You want to go to the next shot, John? Okay, this shows the operator's position a little bit better. The center, the drive center, is not original to this lathe. The original one was simply just a two-pronged forged piece that I accidentally broke off inside the horizontal shaft that supports it. And my friend Bill McCarthy manufactured a new four prong, or a new center for the thing. Any questions about this at this point?
David, what is the purpose of the locking lever at the center line on the outboard end of the headstock? The previous picture there appeared to be like a locking handle.
John, maybe you can point to it. I'm not sure. Oh, on the tailstock?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was looking at the headstock here.
No, I'm sorry. On the headstock. Yeah, that's the headstock. Are you talking about the iron thing that's above the two tenons?
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually a cone center that fits into. Do you see where the belt goes around that wooden pulley?
Yeah.
Okay, that wooden pulley is mounted on an iron shaft, and that handle there on the end of the headstock rather has a cone center on it, almost like a live center on a tailstock that you're familiar with, and it fits into a recess in that iron bar, and you can adjust the amount of forward or backward play on the bearing with that thing. It has a Babbitt bearing, which I don't know if I presume it's not original to the lathe, but it has a Babbitt bearing, so you need to control the thrust upon the bearing to make sure the thing is not loose. That's what that handle does.
And there appear to be a series of holes, or at least two holes, on the previous picture through the vertical spoke on the wheel. I can see that right there.
I think that's where I fired a bullet through the thing once when it wasn't working properly. I really don't know without going out to look. I've never seen it from this perspective. I've never noticed the hole. So it's probably an alternate location for the pitman arm, but again, I'd have to go out in the garage and have a look at it.
Okay.
There's one more shot here we didn't see yet that might be illuminating. Here's the headstock.
Oh yeah, great. Okay, you can start on the right where you see that piece of poplar. That drive center that's engaged there is not the original. It is actually mounted on the threaded shaft. That shaft that passes through the wooden pulley has threads on the end. This thing could be used with a faceplate. It's an oddball thread, but I've actually tried to turn bowls on this thing, and it's a pain in the neck. It's not worth doing again. It's an enormous amount of leg muscle required to turn a bowl on here. So it's got Babbitt bearings in that that thing right behind. We're moving from the center to the left. To the left is where the Babbitt bearing is, and that's why that handle on the far end of the headstock needs to be adjusted to keep the tension on that bearing.
And those two screws on top of the bearing, those are for tension on the bearing too, aren't they?
Actually, they keep the bearing in place, not so much for tension on the bearing, but if I lose those, the whole operation stops. So usually I end up dropping one of those in the sawdust. And
You got to get them to the right tension though, or it breaks it jams the shaft.
yeah, pretty much. I don't tighten them down more than finger tight, basically, is it?
And there's a hole for an oil cup there, it looks like too.
Yes, that's basically what I often just use grease, but I think initially just some oil on that bearing. But those are the two lubrication points: the bearing itself, and to the left of the pulley, there's that the little iron rod comes in there. I grease that too. You can see this lathe in operation. It's on the 12th and 13th of August, which is Friday and Saturday, it's at here. I'm going to hold up this. Never mind, John. I'm going to change my name on my photograph to the website where you can get more information. It's called GoshenHoppen.org.
Put it in the chat, David, if you can.
If I figure out how to do that.
Just pull up chat from the bottom of your screen and type it in there, chat to everyone, and then I can put the chat in the follow-up email so that everybody gets it that way.
Oh, that's good. I just did it.
So can I just, the only way to change the speed is to pedal faster, is what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay.
How big a step do you have to make to keep it running? 6 inches? I mean, is it a lot of knee action or is it just stepping?
I don't know how to explain that. It probably rises and falls about I'm thinking maybe 7-8 inches. So you're not really lifting your leg very far.
And where is the arm from the pedal attached to the wheel? I didn't see that or couldn't see it.
You have to back up a little bit, John. If you could back up to show the wheel.
Let's see. What do I do?
Give it a slide.
To the left.
Just a second. I got to get there.
Yeah,
okay. That pitman arm attaches. If you look down on the lower left corner of the photograph, you'll see that vertical arm. That's the pitman arm, and it attaches to a bolt off to the side of the wheel.
How far up the wheel?
It looks like it's about 4 or 5 inches from the center.
Oh, okay. That's what I was.
How high do you lift your foot when you tromp?
I'm guessing about 6-8 inches.
Okay. Well, we'll all find this out because I'm hoping to go to that event and shoot a video of this thing in action.
You know, anybody that wants to come down to the folk festival, you're welcome to have a try at it here. It's not the easiest machine to work on. And right now I was going to turn some ballisters this year based on influence by John Kelsey, who turned thousands of ballisters. But I think it may be a little bit too long a piece to work on that right now, too long and too thin, because what happens is over time, these two centers, the tailstock and the headstock center, are not perfectly aligned with each other, and it tends to be to whip a little bit. So I may have to shorten my aspirations for this, but you're welcome to come and have a go at it if you come down to the festival. Did that chat come through that everybody could see it?
The chat comes through. Yeah, everybody's got it.
One other question. How much freewheeling action do you get from that wheel? Is there weight to it enough that once you get it going, it carries itself?
Yeah, for a little bit. I mean, you can't stop pumping if that's what you're asking. It'll slow down really quickly. But basically, it has enough inertia that when you take a heavy cut, you need to build up the inertia to get a heavy cut, or it'll stall out on you, or the belt will slip. Probably is usually what happens.
And that also would guarantee it's a fairly smooth, constant speed, right? Because otherwise your chisel will go in and slow and out, you know.
Constant speed. You know, the nice thing about this is that it's an infinitely variable speed. and you don't always think consciously about it, but what happens is you want to slow down a little bit when you're taking a light cut or a finishing cut. It's hard to explain the sensation of using it. That's why I suggest if you come down, I'll give you a go at it. You could try it yourself.
Can you adjust the tension on the belt?
Yeah, there's the belt was made by an Amish harness maker and somebody who had experience with industrial belts. There was a friend of mine called Palmer Sharpless, who some of you may have heard of or know. And Palmer had experience with leather belts, and there's a special hole pattern that allows you to lace this thing and put tension on it.
Well, what's the RPM?
Everybody asks me that, and I really have no idea. But I suspect that it can go from, I don't know, maybe 100 up to about 8 or 9, maybe even if I'm feeling energetic and it's not too hot. We actually set this thing up outside in the horrible August humidity, so sometimes I don't want to push it at its maximum speed for 8 hours straight. I'm standing on this thing for 8 hours at a time. It's hard, but I guess 800 RPM. I'm guessing.
More questions for David? All right, we'll see.
Okay, let me just finish by saying August 12th and 13th, which is a Friday and a Saturday.
That's a week.
It's next, not this coming Friday and Saturday, but a week from then. And there's all kinds of food there, and it's a great opportunity to bring a camera and kids, because you're going to see things demonstrated that you won't see anywhere else. And it's Friday, I think it's 12 to 8 p.m. and Saturday 10 to 6.
Can I just make a comment you made about how hot it is to run? I think it highlights the fact that lathe turning in those days was done by farmers in the off season. So it had been a winter chore as opposed to a summer chore because they're too busy on the farm during the summer.
Absolutely true. And we talk all about that kind of stuff. We work this lathe into Pennsylvania German Society when I do a spiel at the thing, but I'm going to spare you guys the whole spiel.
Hey, where is this location in Pennsylvania?
Perkiomenville, Pennsylvania. And the address is 318 Colonial Road in Perkiomenville, PA. And it's just off Route 73, which is one of the main roads through that area, Route 73. But if you can get that goshenhoppen.org, there's lots of photographs and information and more stuff than I can tell you now.
Yeah,
and I hope to see some of you.
Dump anything you want into the chat and everybody will get it in tomorrow's email follow-up.
Okay, great, John. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Hope to see some of you there.
Thanks, David.
Thanks very much. That was very interesting. And I'm going to look forward to making a little video of that. And I have a bunch of other people who'd like to share this morning, so I'm going to go next to Toby Bouder. Are you okay? You on, Toby?
Yes, I'm here.
Go for it. What do you got?
Okay, I have about 4 pieces that I made. If I'm going to share my screen here.
Yep.
Hope this is it. Yeah.
Yep.
This is Spalted English walnuts, and it's about 3.5 by 10.
Just let me pause for a second. Does everybody have that shared? Did it all come up okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, this is the top view of it. Any questions, just shout them out. I'm going to go through here about 5
Yeah.
pieces.
How hard was that? Was that spalting very punky?
Oh, yeah. Yes,
So
it
did
was.
you cut it or sand it, or what did you do?
Nice, clean shear cuts. And then
Very
sanding,
skillful.
of course.
Very skillful.
What finish?
This is my standard spray clear coat, acrylic spray out of a rattle can.
It looks a little orange peeled in there, but maybe that's just the texture of the spalted wood. I'm looking at the light. Yeah, that's different. I was looking at the light reflection on the other piece.
Like right in here?
There.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be.
Doesn't matter. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I usually don't buff these, which smooths it out a little bit until after I take the pictures.
Yeah.
They have to sit a while until I buff them. This one's elm, and it's 4 by 6. So I'm showing these because I don't dye everything that I do.
But you do dye this one.
This one I did. This is, can anyone guess what this is?
I would say that's you.
It's not me.
No,
This is-
you would.
I know. This is Dawn Redwood, which is a very interesting wood, but it's very, very soft.
Very nice.
And this is the same piece. And I found it interesting. After I dyed it, these grain lines over here are red in the heartwood, but in the sapwood, they're yellow. And they sort of transition. I found that interesting.
Is that dye, or that's the way the dye picked up, isn't it?
I guess so. I don't remember looking at it before I dyed it and noticing the color change. So
That is a dye, the blue. It's not.
yes.
Yeah.
I just I paint the dye right over everything. I just wash it over, and that's how it turns out.
Questions for Toby?
There's another inside piece. Photo.
Is that the blue that you typically use? Didn't you tell us about a particular blue that you use?
Trans tint blue dye, yes.
I gotta try it. I like it.
And it comes out different on depending on the wood you put on, because the wood has an underlying color to begin with. So
Yep.
while you're adding a blue, it's going to change. Here's another piece that I didn't dye. This is cherry from a piece of firewood. So it was a crotch piece.
That's a nice piece. How big is that, Toby?
This is 4 by 7.5. And instead of making a platter to show the crotch feathering there, I made this vertical piece.
Nice piece.
That's a side view of it. There's a little branch sticking out here. I thought it was interesting. And this one is Willow Burl. And I just
Toby, on that last piece, is that hollowed from the bottom?
No, that's from the top.
Okay, so that the bottom's just flat then and closed in.
Yes.
So when you were hollowing that, you were like turning air, as much air as wood.
Yeah, but it was very easy because I could see what I was doing.
Of course.
Now I do a piece this size, which is, it's probably almost 7 inches deep. I just hollow with a bowl gouge. I don't use a hollowing system at all.
You can hollow down 7 inches, in other words, with a bowl gouge.
With a bowl gouge, yes.
Huh.
With no support, with no particular support other than the,
No, because the tool rest was right across the front here because I couldn't get in any farther.
How long's the handle on your bowl gouge?
It's a normal bowl gouge, 14, 16 inches.
I can't do that. I can get about 4 or 5, maybe 5 inches in. I cannot get 7.
It takes practice. I've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
You have to be steady and keep it level on the cutting edge, right on center there. That's the hard part.
Until it goes kabang.
If it does, yeah. Back to the willow piece here. Now this is the same blue dye, but it came out this color.
So that's just one dye to get that. So the brown is in the wood, yeah?
Correct.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I like to use the inherent colors in the wood to enhance the color that I put on. They kind of blend together. So I don't artificially put dye here or dye there. It comes out that way naturally.
It looks translucent.
Yeah, these areas around the burls are kind of interesting.
Yeah. Lovely piece.
Side view.
That's a really beautiful piece.
Oops. The other side. And looking down on it.
what do you do in your bottoms, Toby?
On the very bottom?
Yeah, on the very, very bottom. Just
I
flat.
put it in a not a jam chuck, but a compression chuck, so that the little foam piece sits right on the bottom here, and the tailstock's on the other side. And I just concave it a little bit. Sometimes I'll put a groove in it or two.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't put any pictures of the bottom. I do have pictures, but I didn't put them on this slideshow here. So that's all I have here, but I do have one comment about, we were talking about coring earlier. And I have a McNaughton, which I started with, and I got frustrated with that. So now I use the one way, and I got the Hunter Core Pro cutter. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a little diamond shaped. I don't know what the material is made out of, but it goes through like butter. It's just the nicest thing. It's expensive. The last coring that I did, I forgot to tighten down the little diamond because I was changing it. I was flipping it over because you can use one side or the other side. And I started cutting, and all of a sudden, boom, the little cutter came off, and the screw, because it must have vibrated out. And I lost it because, it fell on the floor. It's gone. So
That's cheap compared to the cartridge.
Well, yeah, the cartridge is like $150. The cutter is only 49 or 39 or something like that. But anyway, I went online to order another screw, and there were like 4 different sizes of the screw, and I didn't know which one was on there, and I couldn't tell from the website. So I emailed Hunter, I think his name's Mike Hunter, and I told him what happened. He said, "Well, it's the number 1 screw. Send me your email, send me your physical address, and I'll send you one." And he did. A couple days later, I got one in the mail. It was free. I just wanted to point that out.
That's very nice customer service.
Yes.
Yep.
I have a question on the Willow.
Yes.
The flutes on the outside. How did you? They look polished and sanded. Did you carve that, or?
Can I go back and share again?
Yeah, you can. I killed your share, but you can go back to it.
Okay. Now on the side, you say?
Yeah, on the outside.
We not get there. You go.
Which particular are you talking? This thing here? That's natural in the wood. That's
previous
just the
shot.
Figure. Here?
Yeah, well, actually on the inside, it looks like it's fluted, and a little bit on the outside. Yeah, that one. No, previous. You just had it up.
This one.
That one right there. Yeah. How did you sand or finish that off? And looks like on the inside it's kind of fluted. How did you get that? Or is that,
That's just optical illusion. That's just the light.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by fluted. That's just a figure. It's just a figure in the wood.
It's just the grain. It looks like it's kind of fluted.
Looks like it's
not even and smooth, but undulate.
You mean all across this area here?
Yeah. Yes.
No, that's smooth.
Ah,
just
wow.
the way the light's reflecting off of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Your optical illusion. You're going to sell that piece, aren't you, Toby?
Oh, absolutely.
What are you going to sell it for? What's the price on it?
It's a rather small piece. It's 5 by 3, probably $65.
Whoa. You want to have a bidding war on it right now?
Yeah, it's very nice. Beautiful.
Beautiful piece.
And what was the name of that dye that you use?
Trans tint.
Trans tint.
Trans, yeah. TRANSTINT.
Those are very concentrated dyes, and I think you only are using the 3 primary colors. Is that right? And just mixing to suit.
Right. I use red, blue, and yellow.
I think you told me one time you bought those small bottles 10 years ago, and you still haven't gotten to the bottom.
Still haven't gotten used in a while. Yeah. A couple drops and a little bit of water, and I mix it with water. You can use alcohol, so then I just brush it on.
All right. Any more questions for Toby? Toby, thank you very much. That was really nice. I'm going to get your share.
Yep.
Okay, Mike, what do you got?
Nothing real special. I got access to a bunch of cherry burls. We're building a building at my church. We took down some cherry trees that I've been watching for years because I had to make 2 trips with my little Toyota RAV4 to fill them up with all the cherry blanks. So that's one of them. And I got a coring system
Go back to that.
I haven't had a chance to play with. But
Go back to that bowl for a second there, Mike.
Yeah.
Is that why is the raised rim? Does that have a lid, or is that just for decoration?
No. That's just a. I put a little bead on the inside edge.
For any reason, or just for fun?
Just decoration.
Okay.
And then it slopes down slightly to the bead from the outside to the bottom of the bead.
So
Just
if I had my soup in there, it would collect around the bead.
Yeah, but this is Burl. They say if it won't hold soup, it's art, right?
Good.
So then I made doing a video on coffee scoops. I'm still editing, so I made a couple of coffee scoops. Nothing really fancy. This is a piece of chestnuts, a handle on one, and these ebony pegs you buy from somebody. I had them for years, a bunch of them. They're about 7/8 of an inch, so I figured I might as well use one. And the bottom one doesn't really show real well, but it's lace wood. Does better on flat work, I think. And then the top one is maple.
So those are 2-piece, right? You turn the
Yeah,
cup.
those are traditional 2-piece. Yeah.
What's the thickness of the bottom, the base?
Probably 3/32 of an inch, maybe. The trick on these that I learned, I published an article. When you publish an article, you think you know what you're doing, but I was saying how you smooth the inside where the peg comes through, and somebody pointed out to me it's a whole lot easier to make that a feature, and you round the edge off before you take the spindle off, and then it protrudes and it becomes a feature. And it's a whole lot less work.
I have to agree. That's what I ended up doing. I tried I make from your video, I've made quite a few like that. And one thing, after a while, when you put the glue on, it swells the little knob that sticks through, so it doesn't come out.
Yeah, there you go. That's all I got.
Where'd you get the chestnut?
It grew around here. I don't think it's an American chestnut. I got to feel it, since I think every one of those down in this area died out. I think it's called the Chinese chestnut.
Horse chestnut.
So I can't really compare it to a real chestnut, but it's somewhat soft. It's got very prominent grain. It's very nice wood to turn. It's very attractive.
I think that's horse chestnut, isn't it?
Could be. Someone gave me a great big chunk of it.
I have a plank of it. I have a plank about 18 inches wide by 2 inches thick that I was going to make into a countertop, but I think I'm going to cut it up into platters.
Yeah.
Because it's got a lot of curl in it.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, next time, if you have try a gray card. These white cards knock the camera down. We don't see the detail of your turnings. At least I didn't.
Well, that's too dark.
This is kind of blue on the backside, but is that any better?
See if now turn it around. Okay. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know either.
I'll try a gray card. This one's actually blue.
Yeah, and that's going to throw the color off for your camera.
Sure.
Since we're talking about backgrounds, I hope I'm not being too nosy. Behind you, you've got that cloth. Is that for your videos that you make, or?
Yeah, that's a green screen. I use it occasionally. I've gotten where I don't use it much anymore. It turns the screen black, and I don't like to mess with trying to put a different background in there. It doesn't cover up everything depending on the camera angle. So generally, I just use the shower curtain behind it.
Well, the shower curtain's all about keeping the chips, confining the chips, isn't it?
Yeah, that plus, in addition, it obscures some of the wood storage in the back. It could be, a bit of a distraction.
Hey, hope I wasn't too nosy there.
No, yeah, I bought that. It's a cloth one. I made these pulleys. It's kind of interesting, I guess. I've got a video on this. It's kind of one off from my normal channel, but I turn these pulleys, and I've got this long rope that ties off, and it's amazing to pull that thing up and down. It takes a lot of rope. So right now it's all gathered on the floor.
Yeah. A lot of time, a lot of passes around the pulley. I did the same thing one time with a gray seamless that was 11 feet long. Pull on the rope. And
and it goes all the way across because there's a pulley on the other side. So it loops around both pulleys. So I pull the rope and both pulleys work.
Hey,
thank you.
Throw a little light behind that shower curtain sometime. See how you like it as a background.
Yeah, that's an idea. Yeah.
Not hot, not a lot, not real hot, but just enough.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Mike? Okay, thank you very much, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to continue to follow my practice of going to people we don't often hear from in first order. John Chalikian, that would make you next. Is that okay with you?
Yes, it is.
All right, show us what you'd like to show us.
Okay, well, I wanted to share, excuse me, my past week's experience. All of a sudden I have a frog in my throat. I just completed a 5-day workshop at the Peters Valley School of Craft in the Delaware Valley National Recreation Center. And the instructor was Monaco. The class was turning elegant enclosed forms. And I had signed up for it in April. I saw this article in the AAW about craft schools. And since the Peter Valley was relatively close to me, about a two and a half hour drive, I signed up for that and was on the waiting list. And then last week or a week and a half ago, I got a call that I got accepted. And I didn't really know too much about the Peter Valley School of Craft. This is kind of a cover that showing backwards. It says, "Making it meaningful." They have classes in many different subjects: wood, metal, blacksmithing, ceramics, fibers and textiles, glass, photography, printmaking. And the instructors come in, are well-known people. Matt will be a featured demonstrator at the AAW symposium in 23. He just has an article in the August Fine Woodworking magazine on turning. And the very good instructor.
What's his name again, John?
Matt Monaco.
Okay.
Monaco.
Are you going to show us what you made?
Yeah. So he did a lot of talking. We didn't really make lots and lots. Well, I have 3 or 4 pieces. This is one piece, a little bit of an enclosure. There's the back. This is a piece of soft maple, which it's called soft because the twigs are soft. He really emphasized sharpening, and I learned a new grind on the bowl gouge. Said you should have 2 bowl gouges with 2 different grinds on it. One a swept back that he has like a 5/8, and then a 1/2 inch with a I guess a micro grind. He calls it an interior exterior grind, and it's pretty incredible. This one I haven't sanded, and it's really smooth, and that's one of his objectives, is to have such a fine cut that you can start at 180 to 220.
Can you show us what that grind is, or tell us a little more about it?
No, I can't. Actually, I'm visiting a family at the Jersey Shore, and I don't have that stuff with me. It's basically on the 1/2 inch one. It's a 60-degree grind that's maybe 1/8 of an inch wide, and then you do a relief grind that could be 40-45 degrees, and so you have a very small area to for your
bring the tool and show us next week. Bring the tool and show us sometime soon.
Right, I'll do that. But he's a very good instructor, and it was a great experience. I've been turning, I guess, for about 2 years now, and I feel like I made a lot of progress. And
from the look of those,
how to avoid catches and how to make some real clean cuts on the end grains and all.
Well, I remember seeing some of your earlier stuff. Those plates are very, very nice. Clearly you're getting somewhere.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, any more questions for John?
Hey, John, Matt Monaco spoke at our club here in Columbus, Ohio, and he really is good. He was doing skew chisels at our meeting, and
right,
the guy's a magician with them.
Yeah, he was going to do a demonstration on the last day, and it didn't happen. And I understand that, and he travels around the country, giving classes at various schools and also at clubs. And I understand, I haven't seen it, but there's some club that he does about an hour of work with the skew. And yeah, he says he loves the skew. It's one of his favorite tools. He's done production turning in the past. And he still does. There's a company in Vermont, Chalikian or something or other, that he makes their bowls for them. But yeah, he's very talented, very talented. I mean, he makes it look really easy. Oh, one interesting thing, the classes run from 9 to 5 with an hour for lunch. Their campus is basically in a Bevan. It's an old village. Layton, New Jersey is the mailing address. And I was worried about my hands because I have some issues with some arthritis and this and that. And sometimes when I'm turning, my hands start to hurt. Well, I was worried about turning for 7 hours a day or doing something. And I suddenly, with his techniques and stuff, I'm not doing a death grip on the tools. And
That's the trick.
Was fantastic. That alone was the price of admission.
Yeah, you get past that death grip and you get to where the tool is actually cutting. It's very different.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm constantly telling myself, lighten up on the grip, lighten up. But now I don't have to.
Thank you very much, John. Any more questions for John? Okay, Garold, what do you got today?
Oh, very quickly here. Tearing down an old building, and it had, I don't know, 60, 80 years old, maybe 100, and had some rather unique pieces in it. 12-inch wide. Pull this back enough that you can see it. And I'm not as good as Al, but you can see a little bit of my balance here and on a platter or a plate. And I didn't quite get it perfect, but it's hard to adjust on something that thin. Can't do it between centers, of course. So had to do it just a little bit of modification on the placement on a chuck on the backside. So, but it's about an inch. It was probably 5/4 when I started, and 3/32 on the rim.
What wood is that again?
It is oak, and this exact species, I'm not sure, probably red, but you can see the balance is reasonably close.
Nice piece.
The finish on it is right now just has one coat of Danish, or not Danish oil, but tung oil.
Questions for Garold? Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to go over to Don now. I know that Don wants to show us something, and I'm not really quite sure what. So what do you got, Don?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. After your video you sent us in the last 24 hours, I had a look at it, and I thought I'd like to just show you our club setup.
I'd like that.
Yeah. Right. Here we go. I mute myself. I don't know what that was. Right.
I got a spotlight on you, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we got it. Can you make that? Yeah. Can you make that full screen so we can see it better?
Is that not full screen?
No, but it's okay.
Full screen. Wait a minute. Where's that up here? It's full screen on mine.
Okay, go for it. Go ahead. We can see it plenty good.
Right,
Talk to us.
As our setup, we've got now, I'm not technically minded, so I can't tell you what the cameras, but we have 3 cameras. We got one on here,
Yeah.
one above us, and another one shining down. And as you go through, that's the head tailstock camera, the side camera, and there's the split screen of all 3 cameras on our television.
Where's the camera looking at the man or the person turning?
That's can be either the overhead, side, or tailstock. These are all zoomed in.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just advocating in these setups, let's see the person as well.
yeah, well, of course, this was done for a write-up that I did.
Yeah.
Just showing you the setup of the different camera angles that we can get.
What are you doing? Now, what are you doing in there? Tell us that too.
Right, we're doing colouring of our bowl that we've done. It was sprayed black in certain areas, and then it's been coloured with different dyes to produce the final product. It was just the fact of the overhead camera. There's this end camera again on the lathe, top of the bowl, the base of the bowl after we polished it. But
so you polished the bottom up into colors and left the top as wood?
Yes.
And what's the theory there? What are you trying to do?
Purely to show the coloring of the bowl at the time.
It's a very nice effect.
It's makes it look better on the bottom. We finished off the bottom afterwards because it's very difficult when you've got it on a chuck.
And what wood is that, Don?
It was a piece of sycamore.
Questions for Don?
So it's just purely a setup.
Very nice setup. Very good to see that. Is that your club in Portsmouth?
That's in Bedhampton, near Portsmouth.
Near Portsmouth. And how many members are in your club?
Well, before COVID, we had 110. But since COVID, we're dropping down to 50.
Is that because they died or because you haven't been having meetings?
No, we didn't have meetings for 2 years. We weren't in a position to hold Zoom meetings. It's only in the last 8 months that we've been able to get onto Zoom. We got a guy come along that was quite good in the IT world, and he set the whole thing up. So the other thing was last week, somebody was talking about when they were sanding internal small bowls where there's a very small hole and didn't like putting their fingers in. I use a pair of surgical clamps.
I do too.
And I find them very useful when you've got a small hole and you're a bit worried about fingers. I find them very, very stable and very controllable because you can hold them with both hands.
And you get the sandpaper in the end of that and just stick it in there, right?
Yeah, you just like so. And
yeah, that's what I do.
And you put it into the bowl. You've got to make certain you roll it the right way, otherwise it'll come undone when you put it in the bowl.
Yeah.
But inside, hello?
I'd like to ask a question about the setup around the lathe for the cameras. Just it looked, we're working on a project we're trying to wrap up by the end of the week for hybrid. And one of the guys has picked up something, I don't know the details of it, but it doesn't look as robust as that setup. How much did that cost?
That I can't answer because at the time we did it, I wasn't chairman anymore. I let other people do it. So I can't even tell you what the cameras are. All I know is that it goes through a laptop, but it was a scaffolding that was made purposely by the guy whose company makes that type of stuff, and he made it quite cheaply for us.
Oh, really? So that was made?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's what you probably have to do is tailor it to your situation.
Yeah.
Just because the one one that I've identified looks a little fragile, in my opinion, for the overhead than even on the side, potentially the side camera. Tailstock.
Mike, I'll send you a photograph.
I did a screen print. I got a screen print of it.
Oh, okay, fine.
It's one nice thing in Windows 11. When you do a screen print now, it saves it to a file automatically. You don't have to play with it after.
Yeah.
It's really handy.
Yeah, the Mac does that too. Yep. Shift Command 3 gets you a screenshot. Yep.
It's all done through the laptop, and they can change camera, bring it out, talk, the man talking. But that was just to show you how close you can get to the work through the 3 cameras that we have.
That's a very nice setup, Don. Bring your guy on sometime, or bring him to our hybrid forum, which is the 3rd Monday, 7 o'clock. I'll send you the link.
Well, that'd be midnight here.
No, that won't work then. We'll bring your guy some morning. We'll chat with him there.
Unfortunately, the guy that works, he's cut off. It's very difficult sometimes to get him. He works. The other night, I tried to get hold of him and I couldn't. The next morning, he phoned me at 10 o'clock and said, "Sorry, Don, I'm still at work at 3 o'clock in the morning."
I see. Yeah, that's the trouble with those guys.
With IT, because they have a breakdown and he's working. But I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Thank you very much, Don.
No, that's all right. Thank you. It's just to say, just to show you what we do over here as a club.
We hear from Bowman all the time, so Doug still has his hand up. I'm going to go to Doug now because we haven't heard from Doug in a while. Oh, you showed us this the other night.
Yeah, I showed the club this the other night. I just thought I'd bring it up. It's a vessel I made. My nephew gave me a piece of wood up in Canada. I don't know the name of the wood, but it was a branch with a sort of curved branch with a bump on the side of it, where it had an extra growth. And so I actually made a double hollow, what do you call it? Natural edge bowl out of it. It didn't start out that way. It just sort of evolved as I was going. And the cutting down in the inside here, what I did is I took my hollowing form tools, and you know the hook is on it to go on this side, but I just reversed because it's the because the hollowing form tools, I've got a little set screw for taking the screw for the carbide bit out of it. I just turned the bit upside down so I could actually use the hook to get inside there at a serious length. Of course, that meant sanding it was all done by hand, because I, even with a set of even with some surgical scissors like you're suggesting, I was a little bit afraid of getting in there with my fingers too close to those flying wings because they look pretty radical. So I just wanted to show it.
How much wood did you remove from that? There must be, you must have removed 4 times as much wood as we're looking at here.
Oh yeah, I think about 90% of it's gone.
So how big was the piece of wood you started with?
It was about an inch longer than that, and the top came up to about here. So it's actually pretty close to the size of the wood it started with.
You just, so the edges are the original edges of the wood, obviously.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Yeah.
And then
so
this,
you only have like one center on that. Did you just hold it from the tail end?
Yes, just one center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like a chucking recess. Is that right?
Well, actually, it wasn't. It was actually initially it was a foot, and of course, when it caught the first time, the foot broke off completely. So I had to rechuck it.
Well, how did you do that?
Well, how is it? Bugs Bunny says very, very carefully. I set it back between centers and cut the foot off, and then slowly, and I hadn't had this side out yet, so I put a recess on this side, chucked it this way, and then cut the inside back because it was early enough on in the turning. If it had been later on, I would have been dead in the water.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. How are you going to hold that thing now?
Yeah. So now I haven't really finished off the bottom completely because I would go back in there and put, as you said before, just put a jam chuck like Toby was mentioning on that, and then just smooth it out so it hollows in a bit more.
But you won't be a ton of wood down there.
Yeah. It's actually pretty. Yeah.
Doug, this reminds me, a lot of the questions I've been hearing today when they look at a piece is, what was the wood like first? we all have iPhones in our pockets. As soon as we mount a piece, we should take a picture, shouldn't we? And then we can say, here's what it looked like, and here's the magic I did. Just an idea.
Well, I agree with you, Jim, except that I'm only going to put one piece of it. It leaves the magic in there for you guys to be a mystery, if you want. So
yeah, makes you seem more skillful than you are, maybe.
Yeah, you're right.
Bowman,
but then, in truth, I would have taken a picture, but I didn't think about it at the time. So it's just a matter of habit. I think you're right.
Anyway, I'm trying to make that my habit, but I'm forgetting sometimes. So.
Well, you've got 5 minutes now to wrap us up. What are you going to show us today?
Okay, well, that's good. I got some good stuff to show you. So, okay, share screen. Let's get to this baby. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Right here we go. And function F. Now, I'm going to start. Well, no, because I only got 5 minutes. I'm going to start with this one.
Bring it up full if you can.
Yeah, I know.
We're still seeing your album. There you go.
Yeah, this probably is still turning, but I had this chunk of it was like oddball shaped walnut with a splintered end on it in my shop for a long time, and I said that's got to be an art piece. So I took to the bandsaw because I was rigid. I put a center on the back corner, back here on the bottom. But boy, I said, I can't possibly turn that. I can't put it in a roller. I can't do anything. So I cut it with the bandsaw and sanded it. And it was great fun. I love it. I think it's a great piece of art. I used wood stabilizer up in the top area here to try to keep all the splinters together. Sanded this and threw some lacquer on it, and then laid it in my shop with a bowl behind. 2 minutes about this.
That last
Maybe
piece,
I mentioned it.
The last piece you just showed there, is that rotted or is it burned? It looks very black on the top.
I just put stabilizer. Sorry, I went the wrong direction here. I just used stabilizer. Let me go back here. I used something, Watco or something, stabilizer. It was not burned. I didn't burn it. It was not burned. It's the way it aged. I mean, literally, it came off. I don't know where I got it. I think I got it at the lumber yard where a guy cuts a lot of wood for me. I just saw it and said, that's pretty cool. So
yeah, thank you.
I probably don't have time to talk about my graded background experience, but I want to mention this. This piece is my best identification is white ash. And that's based on the leaf of the tree. But Toby, if he's still here, I'm intrigued with the possibility of putting that blue dye in this area here.
I think you would pick it up beautifully.
I think I have some more of this here because it was on our community greens by the river and we had a tree blow down. So I had a chance I helped clean up and chopped a bunch of it up. Talking about balanced from Art, was it Art the other week? Sturt, what's Sturt's first name? Anyways.
Al, yeah.
Al, yeah. A tree grows the way a tree grows. But I was pleased that it came out like this. It was kind of halfway balanced.
I call that balance. I think that's pretty nice, actually.
Yeah.
I think any attempt you made to balance that more would make it worse.
Right. By the way, one of my trademarks that I save for myself is I still like to leave a little bark somewhere. And this one, because the way I turned it, I had a little bark over here on the side. So. I thought I had one. Do we have? I'm done. Okay, John. I'll honor your 11 o'clock. I'm finished.
Okay, we're right up to the hour. Yeah,
Yep,
we usually are good to end on the hour. Let me see. Let me pull the spotlight off you. I just have a couple of quick announcements to make. Next week is another show and tell week. The week after that, we'll have Albert Lee Koff, the founder of the Wood Turning Center, or the Center for Art and Wood, and one of the co-founders of the AAW. Albert's been a turner his whole life, and he has known all the great turners in his remarkable career. He's now retired. He's going to give us a slideshow, and I have no idea what he's going to show yet, but I will be finding out in advance. I've asked him to show us pieces that are significantly important to him that we probably haven't ever seen before, and I think he's got quite a collection to show. So that's in 2 weeks. I also made a little bet with myself. I made a little bet with myself for 1.5 years. You know, I used to try and make sure we always had something to show, just in case you guys didn't step up. So I have a couple of little videos in the background, and I've now gone almost 18 months without having to show those, as we're out here to number 114 in this series. So congratulations on participating fully in this weekly coffee hour. And I also see on this screen some bunch of faces of people we haven't really ever heard from yet. And I want to issue an invitation to you guys to get a few slides together and show us your work. We'll give you the time you need, and we'll ask you questions, and we'll be gentle with you, and we'll teach you how to share screen. If you don't know how to do that, all you have to do is log on to coffee hour 20 minutes early, because I'll be here, and so will some of the others, and we'll work through screen share with you so you can share slides, or you can email them to me and I'll show them, and all you have to do is talk. We would like to hear from everybody. There's lots of people down here we haven't ever heard from yet, so this is your invitation. Put some slides together, show us your work. And on that note, we've all whiled away another very pleasant hour with Woodturners Coffee Hour, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Very good.
Thank
Thanks,
you
guys.
all.
Bye.
Thank you all for your diligent participation.
Whoa.